Well, folks, looks like we are going to be coming to you live from the Sports and GT Masters Series. It's round number 6, and it's Suzuka International. Frankie Eunice, good evening to you.
Good day, everybody. Good day, Gary. Good day, FC Nevo. Yes, we come to you from the land of the rising sun. We come to you from Japan, from Suzuka International Raceway, the home of the Japanese Formula One Grand Prix. FC Nevo from Rage Productions and Joost Larsie. Good evening. Great to be back in the studio.
Yeah, lovely to be back in the second gear studio for round number 6 of the Sports and GT Masters Series tonight. Coming to you live from the Suzuka International Race Circuit, also known as the Suzuka Circuit, established in 1950 by Mr. Honda himself. The track also owned by the Honda Motor Company, and also the home of the Formula One Grand Prix. Also the circuit where we saw the massive accident that eventually cost the life of Jules Bianchi, the former Marussia and Ferrari protege. But tonight we are in Dallara Formula 3s, and we're ready for some hot action while the guys are already putting up times in qualifying.
Well, before we go to the times, FC, you're talking about what happened to Jules Bianchi. This is also a circuit where 2 years in a row, 1989 and 1990, there were issues between Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost. The first time in 89, they were both racing for McLaren, and then in 1990, Senna was in McLaren and Prost was at the Ferrari team. But yeah, it's a lovely racetrack, and we are 4 minutes and 50 seconds into the qualifying session. And so far, François Hubert is the quickest man out there, followed by Peter Hubert and Luc Lucchesi.
Well, it's a 1:52 dead for François Hubert, with Peter Hubert just 0.09 of a second off the pace. Luc Lucchesi is a further 100th of a second down the road in that third position. Graham Stephen currently holds that fourth spot. He is 1/10 of a second behind Lucchesi, with Graham Stephen and Willem Botha in fifth, with Johan Ferrari only managing a 6th position so far.
Yeah, and he is 7,000ths of a second behind Willem Botha at this point in time. He's just out of the top 6 in the Monster Energy sponsored Dallara Formula 3 car. And that is François Hubert, the man you see racing down that long straight, working his way now through 130R, and then at the end of 130R is that chicane, which will take him back onto the main straight once again.
Yeah, and as we're riding on board with the guys here, that is your pole sitter so far, François Hubert. But Peter Hubert all of a sudden jumps to the top of the log there with a 151.6, and François Hubert improves his time, but it's still only good enough for that second position, as he is 1/10 of a second down from Peter Hubert, who's absolutely flying in these Dallaras.
Yeah, Peter Hubert, and there is Luc Lucchesi in that Ferrari colored Dallara Formula 3, and Luc is out the top 3. He is in that fourth position, and he's 0.4 of a second behind the pole sitter Peter Hubert. At this point in time is Luc Lucchesi, with 6 minutes and 40 done out of the 10. And look at that. Lucchesi hits pole position.
Lucchesi taking pole position.
He's
Peter Hubert.
He's actually a producer's dream. When I saw he was 2/3 of the way through that, if anybody's going to be able to bump it up and make a change. Emil Tiny Brandt with a big smile on his face saying, I knew why you stayed there. No doubt you expected he was going to go to the front row of the grid. But where does that leave the likes of one of our top racers, Johan Ferrari?
Yeah, so far JF sits all the way down there in that 8th position, and he's 0.8 of a second off Lucchesi. That is the pole sitter. Graham Stephen and Mike Verrier are in the pits at this point in time with 7 minutes and 25 seconds done.
Well, so far Ferrari has been improving. He's been doing personal bests, but not overall best sectors. I don't think he's going to make it that much further up the log at this stage of the fight. The competition extremely tight out here in the Dallara F3s out at Suzuka, as he goes into that chicane section, the Casio Triangle, that's what it's known as, before he goes around the final corner, the last curve, and heads down the main straight.
Yeah, Peter Hubert hits pole position now with a 151.5, so it is Lucchesi that drops down into the second position, and Ferrari has done a PB of a 152.172, and he moves up into that top 5.
Right, Lucchese on another flying lap, and there's some pink sectors out there, some purple sectors. Can he improve to dethrone Peter Hubert? Ooh, somebody goes very wide. That's Willem Botha. It takes a very wide line and comes to a halt on the circuit and gets it going again, as we now right on board here with Andre Steenkamp in a very camouflaged style of a livery, and Lucchese goes to the top.
Yeah, a 151.445 there for Luke Lucchese. 8 minutes and 45 seconds done. We've got a minute and 15 to go before the checkered flag comes out. That is Renier Hubert in the Fruit Loops sponsored Formula 3.
Fruity choice to go for that livery for Renier Hubert, as most of the guys will start heading to the pits. There's only a minute left in qualifying. Most of the guys have already done about 1 or 2 flying laps. Swayze Hubert does a personal best of a 152.345, but that's still only a 9/10 of a second off of your pace setter Luke Lucchese, who's only 5/100ths of a second ahead of Peter Hubert. This is going to be tight.
Well, the man that's in the pink car is the man that's currently there in that 9th position, and that is Swayze Hubert, 9/10 of a second off Luke Lucchese. And there is Swayze. He's the man that must race this evening in the pink-colored Formula 3 Dallara.
Well, I wouldn't mind a sponsorship with Barbie if I have to pay my car pink. I'll tell you that, as long as they sponsor. Willem Botha putting up the paces out there as well in the 301 car. And let's see if he can improve on his time before the clock runs out. I doubt that there's 5 seconds left in qualifying. So at this stage of the fight, Lucchese looks like he is the man to catch. He's going through the final. There we go. Time cutting off there as Willem Botha dives into that final chicane. But a beautiful shot there of the Coca-Cola Zero wheel and our grid for today, Frankie.
Front row is Luke Lucchese and Peter Hubert. Second row is Francois Hubert and Graham Stephen. And the third row is Johan Ferrari and Willem Botha.
On the 4th row, Peter van der Spey lines up against Timothy Stanton in that 8th position. Swayze Hubert fills P9 with Stephen McCarthy filling up row number 5. Then Andre Steenkamp in 11th with Sandra Bakari rounding off your top 12.
Row 7 is Mike Verrier and Renier Hubert. Row 8, Ian Riddle and Robbie Teens. And row 9 is Colin Plitt and Herman Lazarus.
And then coming off the back of the field will be Johan Engelbrecht in the number 19 car. And alongside him, Eugene Manuk for Team Topo Pilotas coming off the back end of the field there. Guys are lined up and we are ready to go racing here for round number 6 of Sports and GT Masters Series, coming to you live from Suzuka International Race Circuit.
Right, 45 minutes of action is waiting for us here at the Suzuka International Formula 1 Grand Prix Circuit. It'll be a standing start. They can have 2 quick repairs. 17 errors is a drive-through penalty. And we're going to go off the line pretty soon. We wait for the lights to go off. And then we still got a couple of guys that aren't on there. Stanton and Engelbrecht has not gridded yet.
There, Stanton comes onto the grid, and now we're just waiting for the final one, the number 19 of Johan Engelbrecht. There we go. All 20 cars on the grid. We're waiting for the lights to go there. The lights come up. 1, 2, 3. Oh, jump start there from Graham Stephen as the lights go out and the race is off. Oh, massive contact there in the middle of the field. That looks like Mike Verrier being involved there as Graham Stephen had a massive jump start off the line. But Peter Hubert, Luke Lucchese, Stephen, all of them in there, as it is Hubert that now leads them out into this race.
Yeah, geez, can you believe that one? Just very over-eager there, but it's Hubert from Lucchese.
Oh, sorry, I apologize, Frankie. That was Peter Hubert that had a massive jump start there. I apologize for that one.
Yeah, Peter Hubert still sitting out there in that first position. Then Luke Lucchese in second, followed there by Graham Stephen. Right behind him is Willem Botha. Francois Hubert's got his nose ahead there of Johan Ferrari. Ferrari's dropped down into P6. There we see Herman Lazarus come through as they work their way under the bridge. And it is all nose to tail as they work their way into the hairpin. Through the hairpin, they will go now, working their way into that long right-hand curve and trouble out there already And that Stanton that's busy going through that right long curve, FC towards that famous spoon corner.
Yeah, I think that was Ferrari that got spun there in that corner. But this is already a tight race as Lucchesi has now taken the lead of this race. He's taken over from Peter Hubert. Hubert actually hung back and allowed the pack to catch back up to him. And that's now cost him the lead of this race with Lucchesi sitting up in P1. Let's have a look at the replay. The lights went on. And Peter Hubert just decided, I'm out of here.
Yeah, and then there's an issue at the back. There's a car standing still, and that was Mike Verrier that was standing still, and he was hammered there by, was it Juan Engelbrecht that hit him? There you see Peter jump off the line. Everybody's busy moving, and yeah, there is contact there between Engelbrecht and the Gaulois car of Dr. Mike Verrier.
I think that might be a record for the earliest use of a quick repair as Robbie Teens decides to plant his Delara F3 into the barriers and the kitty litter.
Well, he'll have to sort that one out as the rest of the field comes to a replay at Andre Steenkamp. And Steenkamp all over the place, cutting the curves there, and he must be careful when he rejoins. He almost hit Lazarus there as he rejoined.
Let's have a look here by Peter Hubert. He ran quite wide there, and that almost cost him that position there. But that's what made the rest of the field catch up. And there's the contact between Willem Botha and Swayze Hubert, I think, was the man behind him. So, yeah,
well,
that's what.
The pink card was Swayze.
Is Swayze in the. Oh, yeah, Swayze is in the pink. No, it was a white car. I'm not sure. Oh, Eugene Manouk. And, carnage all over the place in these Delara F3s.
A lot of chaos out there. That's René Hubert in the Fruit Loops car. That's a replay of him getting it all wrong. That's going into the Casso chicane there. That's just after the 130R. And then Luke Lucchesi in the Ferrari colors having a moment out there and losing the tail end of that F3 Delara.
I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of changes throughout the field in this race, and we're going to see quite a few pirouettes. This is going to turn into a ballet race rather than just a full-on motor race. But Graham Stephen is the man that's kept it together. He's in the lead of this race, with Peter Hubert currently sitting there in second, and Francois Hubert holding on to that third position.
Right, we'll see the intervals between these guys pretty soon, and you'll see that there's not much between all of them. There you go. Look at that. There's four of them fighting out there for Graham Stephen's lead. It is Stephen, it's Peter Hubert, it is Francois Hubert, and it is Johan Ferrari. And the fastest lap out there belongs to Graham Stephen. The only man that has done real-time single-seater racing in all of this is actually Johan Ferrari, from his karting days through to Formula Ford, both here in South Africa and over in the UK. So if anybody's got single-seater experience, it is that man in P4 so far, Johan Ferrari. That's 0.5 of a second behind third place man Francois Hubert.
Well, you can guarantee yourself that it might help him, but it might not be the deciding factor, as all of these guys out here are superstars in their own right. But this is going to be an entertaining race here as Johan Ferrari is starting to gain on Francois Hubert ahead of him. He's got Timothy Stanton 2.1 seconds behind him, with Peter van der Spey on the move in that sixth position, just 0.7 of a second behind him, with Swayze Hubert another 1.5 seconds adrift.
Well, that's at front four making the way out of the hairpin. Now they've got that long right-hand sweep, which will take them into Spoon Corner. It's a very tricky exit, working your way out of Spoon Corner. And those four are now pulling away from Timothy Stanton. That's in that fifth position. There's Peter van der Spey, and he's all over the back end there of Timothy Stanton, as he sits right on the gearbox there of that Delara of Stanton. That's heading down that back straight. They will go into the left-hander now, that's known as the 130R, and then from there, you see, they'll make their way into that chicane.
Yeah, into the chicane they go in a last curve now, known as a Casio Triangle, as we are right on board there with the Peter van der Spey, with that beautiful color scheme of Lauda classic cars on that car, sitting in that sixth position. Then going back to the front, Johan Ferrari just made a pass there on Timothy Stanton and a personal best time. Oh, massive contact between Johan Ferrari and who was that ahead of him? Francois Hubert.
AlphaTauri color scheme, yes.
And there everybody just comes barreling past. This is going to be a hard, tight race.
Well. Look at Johan now all the way down in P6. And this is Luke Lucchesi making his way. It's a replay of Luke making his way into the pit area. And he's all the way down in P16.
But so far, this man has not yet put a foot wrong in the Gulf Oil colours there. It is Graham Stephen. There we go. Yeah, that was contact there between... a little bit of net code there between Hubert and Johan Ferrari. But riding on back on board there with your race leader around the hairpin, he goes there. It is Graham Stephen who's now going to head down to 130R into Degner and then into that final curve.
Well, with all of this happening, it's put Timothy Stanton and Peter van der Spey into that P3 and 4 with the Schubert. There you see him in the pink livery in that 5th position, and Van der Spey and Hubert is all over the back there of Stanton. Sandro Bakari has got Stephen McCarthy and Colin Plitt right in there behind him, so these guys are still going one-on-one, and that's the battle there for that midfield positions.
Colin Plitt, the last man there of the close positions there in 8th place, ahead of Andre Steenkamp. He's about almost 4 seconds ahead of Steenkamp, but Ian Riddle is the man on the move as well, also starting to gain there on Andre Steenkamp. He's got Lazarus behind him, but Lazarus is in trouble because Johan Engelbrecht, somebody loses it. That is Sandro Bakari that puts it into the kitty litter.
Yeah, Sandro Bakari dropping down the leaderboard. He sits there now in that 10th position. There's Bakari, and there is just losing the tail end there of that Canon-sponsored F3, the same color scheme of the Williams Formula One car back in the early 90s.
Just before we cut there to that Johan Ferrari and Francois Hubert both dove into the pits. So I wonder if that was to fix up some of the damage that they picked up in there as Johan Ferrari now works his way out of the pits.
Yeah, not a happy chap. He is Johan Ferrari, and here comes Mike Verrier also crawling out of the pits. Remember, he was involved in the incident early on. But it's all about this man that sits out there in P1, and that is Graham Stephen. Graham Stephen busy working his way around. He's 4.1 seconds ahead of Timothy Stanton, who's been hassled heavily there by Peter van der Spey and by Sway Schubert, and they are fighting it out there for Stanton's 2nd position.
Yeah, Sway Schubert filling that 4th space. Then in 5th, it is Stephen McCarthy, who's about almost 3 seconds behind them. Colin Plitt sitting in that 6th position. He is about 3.5 seconds ahead of 7th place man Andre Steenkamp, who's only just managing to stay about a second and a half ahead of 8th place Ian Riddle.
Yeah, what a fight out there, because Riddle's got the Bakar that's coming right back at him, and they are 1.3 seconds just ahead of that blue car you see, which is Hammer Lazarus, and he has got Johan Engelbrecht crowding on his rear wing. So it's still very much game on here from P7 all the way down to about P11, that fight for those midfield positions.
Renier Hubert in the Fruit Loops car. He's about 2.3 seconds down the road from Engelbrecht. But Peter van der Spey, he's making a move there on Timothy Stanton. As they're side by side coming down the main straight. He's on that inside line, and Peter van der Spey moves it up into P2.
Yeah, and here comes a Swiss as well. And Swiss Schubert takes that position away there from Stanton as well. So Timothy Stanton, as they work their way through the S's, has lost the 2 positions out there. He has lost one to Peter van der Spey, and he's lost one to Sway Schubert.
Well, Frankie, interesting that's happening in this race as Mike Verrier decides to put it completely sideways across the field there. A lot of your top drivers completely out of position. They're way down the order. Yep. This opens things up in the championship and gives a lot of the other drivers a time to shine and show what they're made of.
Well, look at that sign that says Yahoo. He's not going Yahoo in that car at this point in time. He's a very unhappy chap. He is the Doc himself. So, Timothy Stanton sitting out there in that 3rd place. And there, Johan Ferrari back in the pits again. So, not a good outing there for JF.
Yeah, but it is a good outing for Ian Riddle. He finds himself in that 8th position, just 0.9 of a second from Sandro Bakari, and a full 1.5 seconds ahead of a 9th place man, Herman Lazarus. but a second and a half, not that much time in these cars. You can see Lazarus right there in the picture, but this man must be sitting with a big wide smile. Graham Stephen leading this race 5 seconds ahead of Peter van der Spy.
Yeah, this is a replay here of Eugene Manouk, and going past him there was Luke Lucchesi, and Manouk bouncing all over the scenery. So here comes Graham Stephen down the main straight into turn number 1. Then we've got Peter van der Spy there in second. Right behind him is Timothy Stanton. Right behind him we've got Stephen McCarthy, followed there by Colin Plitt. Right behind Colin Plitt, it is Andre Steenkamp. Then the Cannon Man, Sandro Bakari, with Ian Riddle right in there behind him, followed there by Herman Lazarus, Johan Engelbrecht, Renier Hubert, and the man that was in that second position for quite some time, namely Francois Hubert, and then the man in the pink car just out of the top dozen in that 13th position is Swiss Hubert. Only then do you see Luke Lucchesi all the way down in that 14th position.
Johan Ferrari has finally made it out of the pits after what seemed like an eternity that car was stuck in there. But there we have a look as the car gets going. The number 14 of Johan Ferrari, the Monster Energy Delara Formula 3, finally making its way back onto the circuit. Mike Verrier also having a bit of a horrid race out there in the Yahoo car. And obviously 8 Ball 24/7. Graham Stephen is your man on the move. But Renier Hubert having lots of fun out there in that 11th position. He is slowly but surely gaining on Johan Engelbrecht. He's just 0.3 of a second off the back of the black number 10.
Yeah, and they're all over the back of Lazarus that sits out there in P9. You've got to be very careful here when you work your way through that spoon corner. Spoon corner will just close up on you. It's a deceiving left-hander is spoon corner as they make their way down that long back straight. I mean, this is the only circuit that's got a crossover. Work your way through 130R and then her head into that chicane. Renier Hubert is right on the back end there of Johan Engelbrecht, and they're both chasing down the man in 9th position, Herman Lazarus.
Well, Frankie, strange enough, you'll say that this is the only circuit. This is, in fact, the only one of 2 FIA Level 1 circuits that have got the crossover. The other one being Fiorano, the test track of Ferrari out in Italy. But Renier Hubert desperately trying to get past the likes there of Johan Engelbrecht, but both of them catching up to the back there of Herman Lazarus.
Well, that's the only real fight out there on the track, is that fight for that 9th position between Lazarus, Engelbrecht, and Hubert, namely Renier Hubert, that's sitting out there in that 11th position. He's got the best seat in the house because he's 3.5 seconds ahead of Francois, that at one stage of the game was in that top 3. This is a replay here of Eugene Manouk in the Alfa Romeo colored Delara F3, and just outbraking himself there. So here we go, Renier Hubert out in the 11th position, but have a look at this Engelbrecht. Engelbrecht is having a serious look there at Herman Lazarus, and Renier is just watching both of them. He at this point in time in this fight has got the best seat in the house there.
Engelbrecht getting closer and closer. Herman Lazarus absorbing a lot of pressure from the guys from behind. Lazarus having gained 9 positions since the start of this race. Johan Engelbrecht, also one of the flyers up the field, also gaining 9 positions. They are battling it out there for that 9th and 10th position, and Renier Hubert is waiting in the wings for a mistake from either of the guys ahead of them, but they are all starting to catch Ian Riddle, who is just up the road.
Luke has made the most moves there. It is Colin Plitt has gone up at 12 positions, and the biggest losers there is Luke Lucchesi and Peter Hubert and Johan Ferrari. They've gone down 13 positions.
Yeah, tough day out there for some of our bigger hitters, but this is what the guys want. They want something different every week, and it sure is something completely different as Engelbrecht just ekes closer and closer. It's down to 0.2 of a second. Now it's just 1/10 of a second. He's right on that back gearbox of that Delara F3. Lazarus just survives that attack.
Yeah, and Renier Hubert is keeping a beady eye on both of them, and Luke Lucchesi a 151.582. Luke is the quickest man out there, sitting in that 14th position, and he will systematically close up on Sway Schubert in that 13th place. Now, FC, what we don't know is the amount of fuel that is on these F3 Dolares. Will they have enough to take them to the checkered flag, or are they going to have to pit stop somewhere? Mike Verrier, this morning, when he told the guys the layout and what's happening, he never told them the amount of fuel. So I'm sure they know, but you, Gary, and myself, at this point in time, we don't know.
Look, knowing Mike Verrier, he'll always set it up that there is some form of variation of strategy involved in this. If you're light on the foot, you might be able to make it. You might have to do a splash and dash. Or if you've got a heavy, almost a big move there, as Johan Engelbrecht managed to get past, and Herman Lazarus now under attack there from Reinier Hubert, as Hubert runs it a bit wide there. But to get back to the strategy, I think we might find that there might be a pit stop that climbs in here.
But don't forget about Francois Hubert. There he sits. He's the fourth man in that train, as Engelbrecht has a lunge up on the inside there of Lazarus, and Reinier Hubert has a look up at Lazarus as well. Let's not forget about Francois Hubert. He's the fourth car on that train. There he comes into view, and he was one of our top-end qualifiers, so he would fancy his chances to try and make a move on all three of them, as Reinier Hubert gets it all wrong. That's a replay there of him making a mistake, and Lucas gone past him. Francois Hubert.
Yeah, Francois Hubert getting past it. I only noticed it now, that livery, the Fruit Loops livery on Reinier Hubert's car, that's actually painted to look like Toucan Sam.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I never noticed that. But I'll tell you what.
There's an eye on the little barge board thing on the side there.
No problem for the man that we can call today Mr. Graham Stephen, because he's 7.4 seconds ahead there of Peter van der Spey. That's in that second place, but he's only 1.7 seconds ahead of Timothy Stanton, so not in a safety zone there is Peter. Here comes Steve McCarthy, 3.4 seconds behind Timothy Stanton, and Steve is 4 seconds ahead of Colin Plitt, who has got Andre Steenkamp there right behind him for company. Andre only 0.6 of a second behind Colin.
Yeah, Sandra Bakari a further 1.3 seconds down the road, as Bakari gets it all wrong. Sends that Williams-coloured Delara F3 onto the runoff area, losing a position there to Ian Riddle, who now moves up to 7th. And now he's got Johan Engelbrecht, who is kind of finding some good momentum and some good rhythm out here. He's on the attack there on the back of Sandra Bakari.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a move just waiting to be made. Yeah, there he goes. Dives to the left-hand side of Sandra Bakari and into the left-hander. He takes that 8th position away from Bakari.
Johan Engelbrecht can be dubbed the man on the move. Colin Plitt loses his position there as he makes a mistake and he starts tumbling down the field. What happened here with Colin Plitt?
That's going through 130R into that chicane and loses that position there and gets nailed there. He gets nailed by Steenkamp.
they decided for a hookup. Oh man, what a pity to lose, but just getting stuck together there. But Johan Engelbrecht, another gainer there from that one. That now puts Johan Engelbrecht with one of the biggest gains out there. 13 positions gained since the start of this race, as Andre Steenkamp and Colin Plitt come barreling out the pits.
Yeah, Peter Hubert gets past both of them, but the man up front there, 8 seconds ahead of Peter van der Spey, is the man that you see there in your screen, Graham Stephen. There's Swace all the way down in 10th position. But FC, look at that fight for P5. Ian Riddle in that 5th position as Swace Hubert loses the circuit. He has got Johan Engelbrecht, Sandra Bakari, Francois Hubert and Reinier Hubert all over him, and they're fighting him for his 5th position.
Yeah, that's going to be an intense battle and something we're going to definitely have to keep an eye on there. Ian Riddle has recently done a good job out there on this racetrack, but now he's got the guys who are carrying a lot of momentum and a lot of good rhythm behind him in the form of Johan Engelbrecht, Sandra Bakari not slow out there, Francois Hubert blindingly quick, and he wants to get back to the front of the field as Francois Engelbrecht makes it past Sandro Bakari, and he's now going to go after Johan Engelbrecht.
Yeah, Francois Hubert gets his nose ahead of Sandro Bakari. Now he'll have missile lock Johan Engelbrecht. Right behind Bakari is Herman Lazarus. As they make, and is that Engelbrecht?
Yeah, that's Engelbrecht.
That is Johan Engelbrecht that just flew off there to the right-hand side of the circuit.
I don't know what he did there. Let's have a look here. We're riding on board with Renier Hubert. Not sure what happened to him. That's as he went past. Oh, he got it all wrong as well. Just got it sideways. If this wasn't iRacing, I would have said there must be some kind of little oil spill out there, because everybody just losing it there in that section of the circuit.
Sandro Bakari, this is a replay of Bakari making his way into the pit area. Another replay here of the Toyota Gazoo man, Willem Botha, off the circuit and clouting the barrier on the left-hand side of the track.
A lot of damage there for Botha, but Francois Hubert, now the man on the move, making his way back towards the front end of the field. He's right on the case there of Ian Riddle. Riddle in serious trouble now as Francois Hubert is flying. He was one of our faster qualifiers, had a bit of an off, and that's dropped him all the way down to almost last position. Now busy carving his way through the field again and already finding himself in that 6th position.
Yeah, Francois Hubert right on the case there of Riddle. It's only going to be a matter of time as they go down that long back straight there. No, it's not the long back straight, I lie. That is heading towards the... Now, that spoon curve they're going to now. Yep, definitely spoon curve. Now they're working their way down that long back straight. And here comes the Just Race entry of Francois Hubert. That's sitting there right on the case of Ian Riddle. Riddle's gotten no defense at this point in time. He has got the line for the... Well, he had the line for the 130R. Went off the circuit there. And through that kink, it is Hubert that gets his nose there ahead of Riddle.
Masterclass on passing maneuvers there from Francois Hubert, who's now going to set his sights on Stephen McCarthy. He's got a mountain to climb. He's got 22 minutes left to make up 10 seconds to work his way up into 4th position. This is the man he's going to have to catch, Stephen McCarthy. Can McCarthy stick it out?
I just had a quick look there. Look at that. Luke Lucchese just busy working his way up the field. Engelbrecht is there in pit lane. And Luke got past Renier Hubert. And he's only 2 seconds behind the man in the pink car, Suisse Hubert. This is a replay here at Johan Ferrari going into turn 1. And that is an overtaking maneuver there on Suisse Hubert by Johan.
Yeah, so Johan Ferrari also busy making his way up the field. He's got a big mountain to climb. He's a minute 54 off of the back of Johan Engelbrecht. That's how much that long pit stop cost him. And I think this is going to be a very weird race meeting for Johan Ferrari. I don't see him making up a minute 53 in the next 20 minutes.
Luke Lucchese is 1.2 seconds behind Suisse Hubert. And watch out for that man in P9. He is on the move here as Peter van der Spey is 1.9 seconds ahead there of Timothy Stanton. That's a $2 you see there on your screen. Then we got Stephen McCarthy. He's a whole 9.5 seconds ahead of the man in P5, namely Francois Hubert, who is 1.7 seconds ahead there of Riddle. Then we got Herman Lazarus, that's in that 7th position, and he has got Suisse Hubert and Luke Lucchese all over him. There you see them as they run down into that left-hander, and here comes Suisse. Suisse is all over the back end there of Herman Lazarus, and Suisse Hubert nails him through 130R and now into that chicane, and he will surely be gobbled up here, FC, by Luke Lucchese.
Yeah, Lucchese is on the move. He wants to try and catch up to there where Francois Hubert is. He knows he needs to get to that position as that whole train comes down the main straight. Lucchese dives for the inside, to the right-hand side of Lazarus. Late braking for Lucchese as Lazarus says, look, I'm going to try, but I know I'm not going to really make any headwind against Luke Lucchese, and he backs out of it.
But here comes the Renier Hubert as well on Herman Lazarus. Lazarus has been mugged left, right and center here. Renier sitting out there in that 10th position. He's having a look there at Herman Lazarus. they've got a pretty decent buffer between themselves and Peter Hubert that is there in 11th position. But Lazarus is being absolutely mugged here by Rainier Hubert.
Yeah, Toucan Sam, Rainier Hubert out there in that 10th position, causing all kinds of hell there for Herman Lazarus, who's got to defend extremely hard. But Rainier Hubert sticks to him like stink on a warthog on a warm summer's day out in the African savannah.
Right into that hairpin they go now, working their way through that long right-handed curve that will take them towards a Spoon Corner. And Rainier Hubert is still all over the back end there of Hammer Lazarus as they work their way through Spoon, and Lazarus goes high, Lazarus goes wide, and Lazarus loses that position there to Rainier Hubert.
Tiny mistake that cost that one there for Herman Lazarus, but he's got 10.5 seconds towards the front of Peter Hubert's car, so that's the buffer he's got. Now he can start focusing on his own race again. All the other guys have passed him for that 9th position. Now he can duck his head down and keep pushing forward and not to worry too much about Peter Hubert in that 11th position.
But Swiss Hubert in that 7th place has got Luc Lucchesi 3/10 of a second behind him, and that P7's under serious attack here from Luc Lucchesi as they run down into turn number 1. Later on the brakes is Lucchesi. Lucchesi moves up into that 7th position, and he is now, well, he's quite some distance behind Ian Riddle at this point in time, but you wouldn't put it past Luke to get a top 5 in this one, maybe even a top 3.
Oh yes, I definitely think Luke and Francois Hubert can definitely fight their way towards a top 5 or even top 3 as Herman Lazarus works his way out of the pit area and back onto circuit. But this man, I must say, definitely a candidate for driver of the day for me. He has not put a single foot down. Yes, there's been some brilliant overtaking maneuvers, some brave lunges into the corners, but you know what? You don't have to put yourself in that position when you don't put a foot wrong and can just run off into the lead of this race.
Van der Spey second. That man you see there, Stanton, is in that 3rd position, and they 6.7 seconds ahead of that man you see there, namely Stephen McCarthy, Suzine Property and SS Racing. Stephen McCarthy in car number 18, sitting there in that 4th position. Then 6.8 seconds behind him is Francois Hubert in the Just Race sponsored car with that AlphaTauri outfit there. And,
Graham Stephen in the pits.
Yeah, and Stanton as well.
And Timothy Stanton. That now puts the lead in the hands of Peter van der Spey.
Well, our own Maverick Captain Pete sits out there in P1.
Ian Riddle also in the pit lane there in that 6th position. This is now where it gets interesting on minute number 28 going to onto minute 29 in this race. We're going to start seeing some shufflings happening here as Van der Spey leads them ahead of Stephen McCarthy. Francois Hubert now finds himself in P3 with the Hubert and Lucchesi and all of these guys already having dove into the pit earlier for repairs. Did they take on any fuel during that time, and can they make it to the end?
What Ian Riddle busy working his way there out of the pit lane, and Sander Bakari gets past him there on track. So Riddle working his way into turn number 1. Here comes Rainier Hubert, and he is in that 13th position, and he's comfortably ahead there of Lazarus that's in 14th.
Yeah, Lazarus already dove into the pits, so that is why there is a bit of a breather between Rainier Hubert and Herman Lazarus. But Peter van der Spey, your race leader, as he goes around a Spoon curve, heading down that long back stretch up towards the 130R left-hander, which will take you down to the Casio Triangle and back towards the main straight. There he goes into 130R now in the Laura Classic cars. Delara F3 now heading into Casio Corner or Casio Triangle and down towards the main straight.
One Engelbrecht in the pits once again, and here comes Peter van der Spey. Van der Spey pits from P1, and Van der Spey heading into the pit area. Now, will Steve McCarthy follow suit? Yes, he does. And McCarthy will make his way into pits, which means that Francois Hubert, after all he's been through, will work his way back into P1.
Yeah, Francois Hubert back into P1 there ahead of Graham Stephen in that second position. Where is Luke Lucchesi going to come out? Is he going to make it past McCarthy or Van der Spey? There comes Swayze Hubert into the pits as well. As, these are early incidents, and the pit stops now being so early as well is causing for quite an interesting race.
Well, the pit stop started in 28 minutes. We now got 31 out of 45 done. So this would obviously be the routine pit stops. As Swayze is still in the pit area. We saw him go in early on. But that man sitting out there in P1 is still Francois Hubert. Although it shows there that Graham Stephen, but I think it might have been a connectivity problem because all is sorted out, and Francois is still out there in that lead, making his way through that hairpin corner.
Yeah, 2 seconds down the road from Francois Hubert is Graham Stephen that just went through the hairpin. Now going to take that straight up towards Spoon Curve. Peter van der Spey finds himself in that third place with Lucchesi, the man on the charge, in that fourth position, just 2.7 seconds behind.
Right, there's Luke Lucchesi. Luke sitting out there in that fourth position. There's Timothy Stanton. That's out there in that fifth place. And Timothy is making his way towards Spoon, working his way through Spoon Corner. It just closes up on you, Spoon Corner. It's very technical. Here's Peter Hubert. He's in that sixth position, 6.8 seconds behind Timothy Stanton, and only 1.2 seconds behind him is Stephen McCarthy.
Yeah, Stephen McCarthy there in that seventh position. 4 seconds down the road from him is Sandro Bakari in the Williams-coloured Delara F3 as he makes his way around the circuit. Then Ian Riddle finds himself in ninth position, 3 seconds down from Bakari. Andre Steenkamp a further 3.7 seconds down, and then Colin Plitt in 11th with Reinier Hubert in 12th and Swayze Hubert in 13th, and closing on Reinier Hubert.
Yeah, I was going to have a look. Some of the two Huberts are going one-on-one. They're nearly side by side. Swayze up on the inside. And going through 130R, it is Swayze Hubert that takes that position away there from Reinier.
Yeah, Reinier dropping down. Johan Engelbrecht still in the pits. That is a very long pit stop there for Johan Engelbrecht. But riding on board with this man, what a comeback here for Francois Hubert in the 304 Alpha Tauri coloured Delara F3. He's 2.2 seconds ahead of this man, Graham Stephen, who is doing a brilliant job for that second position.
I want to have a look and see. Graham will certainly want to win this one. He's not going to want to settle here for second position in that Gulf-coloured F3 Delara, and he's 2.2 seconds behind Francois. He can just see Francois there in the distance as they head through and out of Spoon Corner, and now making their way down that long back main. He's going to have to do all that he can to close that gap there on Francois Hubert. Remember, 130R is flat box into that left-hander, and then it's hard on that brakes for that chicane right there by that big wheel you see there on your right-hand side.
I know it is flat into 130R, but it just something in your brain just says brake, brake, brake.
So replayer, it's going all uglier and uglier for Johan Ferrari. Picks up the curb there and the rumble strip, and that spits Ferrari completely out to the right-hand side of the track.
It might be going horrid for him, but it was a lovely pirouette.
Oh, yes, it was. And also for this man, he just caught it very nicely there in that replay, is Swayze Hubert.
Yeah, Swayze Hubert did all the work to get past Reinier Hubert. Hopefully that didn't cost him too much. Let's have a look here what happened to Mike Verrier. He's also had a bit of an up-and-down race so far. Just got it completely wrong onto the curb. And once again, getting it tangled up there with Willem Botha. Is that Willem Botha? Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And
no, it's Robbie Teens.
Oh, Robbie Teens. There we go. Robbie Teens, and then also Peter Hubert in the Benson & Hedges Jordan colours.
Oh, my word. So it's getting... that is that, what do you call it? The Casio Triangle.
Casio Triangle.
Casio Triangle. That's where the guys are making lots and lots of errors out there. That's after coming flat out through the 130R. Johan Engelbrecht in 18th position, dropping down to 19, and he is still there in pit lane, and so is Mike Verrier.
Yeah, Mike Verrier having a torrid race out there as well, but This man has timed it all perfectly. In the lead of this race, Francois Hubert, he's 2.9, almost 3 seconds ahead of Graham Stephen. Then Peter van der Spey finds himself in third place, but Luke Lucchesi is like a shark on the hunt in that Ferrari-colored Dallara F3, gaining ever so slightly, 3/10 of a second. That's all there is between them. Now it's down to 2. Now it's down to 1. He's right on the case, getting ready for a move, heading towards Casio Triangle on the inside. Last of the late breakers. Oh, just backs out of it.
You could hear there Luke Lucchesi going to 130R. That Dallara F3 was flat box. Going to 130R, heading towards Casio Triangle. Now they're going towards turn number 1. And Van der Spey is going defensive. Peter's going defensive. Lucchesi's the quickest man out there. 151.336 there for Luke Lucchesi as they worked about a turn number 1 and through that S's combination.
You might find that some of the stewards might have a look at Van der Spey's blocking there. You're allowed to move, I think, once.
Once, yes.
There was a bit more than one move there from Van der Spey. But Van der Spey knows he's got to try every trick in the book to keep behind him one of the fastest men in South African iRacing behind him. Luke Lucchesi, like I said, he's a shark on the hunt. For he wants that third position. He wants to make a comeback and at least get back onto the podium.
He's like an absolute bull shark there, sitting on the back of Peter van der Spey, heading into the hairpin. Through the hairpin they go now. He's in second gear, watching through the gearbox, third gear, fourth gear, into that long right-hander, heading towards Spoon Corner. Fifth gear, will he pick up sixth gear? Yes, he will. And then he'll be back through the gearbox again into fourth gear, working his way, and third gear out of a Spoon Corner. Now he'll be as quick as it gets. If Gary stays here by him, FC, you'll hear to 130R that Dallara of his is flat out.
Yeah, it's going to be flat out through that 130R, and that's where my heart skips a beat. He's gaining. Got to gas to get out of it a little bit. There's going to be contact. Oh, slight contact between Lucchesi, but now he's up on the inside. Just looks and waves to the left there as he passes Peter van der Spey, but he's got the move done into Casio Triangle.
And into the top 3 he goes with a 151.336. That was his last lap. I don't think it'll be that when he crosses the line now. No, it won't, because he was caught there behind Van der Spey, and Van der Spey wants nothing of it. Peter van der Spey wants nothing of it, and he was trying to make a comeback there on Luke Lucchesi, but too little, too late.
Hey, if you don't try, you're not a real racing driver, so
Correct.
hats off to Van der Spey for trying to get back at him. Oh, Eugene Manouk also battling a bit here with that Alfa Romeo coloured Dallara, as it just doesn't want to turn where he wants to point it.
Yeah, that's a replay there of Eugene Manouk, but Luke Lucchesi says, I'll have none of this. He's 1.2, make that 1.3 seconds now ahead of Peter van der Spey, as once again Johan Engelbrecht making his way into the pit area.
Yeah, Johan Engelbrecht making his way back into the pits there.
For the umpteenth time.
Yeah, it's just not coming together here for him. Mike Verrier also out of it. Robbie Ting seems to be out of it. But Francois Hubert, he seems to be right in it at this stage of the fight, leading this race. He's now managed to pull a 4.2 second gap there ahead of second place Graham Stephen. And now, 7 seconds down the road, already dropping down to 6.9 with just over 5 minutes left to go. Luke Lucchesi, can he do it?
Well, I'll tell you what, he'll still be wired from the 6 hour that we had a couple of days ago, where he and guess who, Francois Hubert, that's sitting out there in P1, took on the might of the 2 Durant Motorsport cars, Durant Motorsport 9 and Durant Motorsport 10. So he will be absolutely wired to get into that second position, because if he can do that, FC, then he and his teammate from last week Saturday will have a 1-2 across the line here. So he certainly will try for that second position.
Let's see what happens here. Timothy Stanton finds himself in that 5th position. He's 8.7 seconds down the road from Peter van der Spey, but he's all on his lonesome out there, as Peter Hubert is 7.3 seconds down the road from him in that Benson & Hedges Jordan colour. Then Stephen McCarthy in the McLaren coloured Dallara sits there in 7th, with Sandra Bakari in the Williams Dallara F3 3.5 seconds down the road.
And then Ian Riddle sits out there in that 9th position, 3.1 behind him. And rounding off the top 10 is Colin Plitt, but right there with him in 11th position, 7/10 of a second behind him is that pink car of Swiss Hubert.
Yeah, Swiss Hubert gaining there on Colin Plitt. He's going to go for a move around the outside. Goes Swiss Hubert. Colin Plitt just completely gave up on that one. Just said, hey, there, go, take 10. All yours.
I don't want it. You can have it. So up into 10 goes Swiss Hubert, and down into P11 goes Colin Plitt. As we ride here and have a look at the two of them, Swiss and Colin. Well, I'll tell you what, making their way through. These guys are having a lovely time out there. Under the bridge they go, heading now towards the hairpin. I think it's the hairpin. Yes, it is, towards the hairpin. And 41 minutes of the 45 is done.
Yeah, heading towards the closing stages of this race. Colin Plitt sitting there in 11th position. Rainier Hubert 9 seconds down the road from him in 12th position. In the Fruit Loops car with Herman Lazarus in 13th. And Andre Steenkamp bringing in that 13th position.
So replay here at Eugene Manouk. We'll have a look, see what happened there to Eugene. Not too sure what happened. We'll pick that one up. That's going into the Casio Triangle once again. And how many drivers FC haven't got it all wrong here at the Casio Triangle?
Yeah, a very, very tricky chicane that got put into that section of the circuit not too long ago. But yeah, Eugene Manouk is struggling with that one and doing the right thing, staying out of the way of the rest of the drivers.
Right, so Colin Plitt still out there in that 11th position. Luke Lucchese is closing up on Graham Stephen, but I think Lucchese will have to settle for that 3rd position. There isn't enough time left for him to attack Graham Stephen and move up into that 2nd position. He was quicker than Stephen on the last lap, but FC, let's be realistic now. With 43 minutes done and 6.9, unless Graham Stephen makes a mistake, there's no ways Luke will get up into that 2nd position.
Yeah, look, depending on where Francois Hubert is on the circuit at this stage of the fight, we're probably going to be on the last lap pretty soon. If this isn't the last lap already for your race leader, Francois Hubert, I doubt if Lucchese's going to be... Now he's even gone slower now. Lucchese's gone up into 3rd.
No, Lucchese is in 3rd.
Lucchese is in 3rd, John.
Yeah, he's just got... Somebody unlapped himself there.
Yeah.
That is Andre Steenkamp. Andre Steenkamp unlapped himself. Has Luke Lucchese got an issue? Because all of a sudden, he's 10 seconds behind Graham Stephen. And here comes Peter van der Spy.
Peter van der Spy back on the attack there. So this could be a case of Lucchese fuel saving after having put it so early in the race.
Yeah.
Filled it up again and thought I might make it to the end. Now he's got to go into fuel saving mode as he starts his last. This will probably be his last lap with a minute left in this race.
Well, it was not too far behind them. There you can see Timothy Stanton on screen. He's 6 seconds behind the Lucchese van der Spy combination. He's Timothy Stanton in that 5th position. There Tim goes into that right-hander, and he is nearly 6 seconds behind Lucchese and van der Spy.
Now the question is, where is your race leader? Because this will probably be the last lap. There he goes now. He just went underneath the bridge there. So heading in towards the hairpin. This is the last lap of round number 6 of Sports and GT Master Series in the Delara F3s. Your race leader, Francois Hubert, leads them out in the 304 car. Now he's going to head up towards the Spoon Curve and start his final half of this lap.
Yeah, with only 10 seconds to go. This is definitely his final lap. And this is a replay once again of Willem Botha getting it all wrong out there. So the checkered flag will be out for the man up front, Francois Hubert, as he races down that back straight towards 130R, and then he will make his way into the Casio triangle, and then from there FC towards the checkered flag.
There he goes into Casio Triangle, the chicane that was put in there. Now he's going to head down the last curve and onto the home stretch. Give this man a big round of applause. Your race winner in unbelievable odds. Brilliant strategy. Francois Hubert takes the win. Graham Stephen right on his case. Peter van der Spey has managed to pass Luke Lucchesi through the triangle into the last corner. Peter van der Spey has done it. He's done enough to finish P3, and Lucchesi's got to settle for P4.
Well done, Peter van der Spey. And then Timothy Stanton will round off your top 5. And 4.9 seconds behind him will be Peter Hubert. And then 8 seconds behind Peter Hubert will be Stephen McCarthy. And then FC 3 seconds behind him in P8 will be Sandro Bakari.
Yeah, Sandro Bakari bringing it home in 8th. Ian Riddle brings it across the line in 9th position. Then we're going to wait 6 seconds then for Colin Plitt. There he comes now across the line to finish in 10th place with Renier Hubert, who will be the man who brings it home in 11th in the Fruit Loops car. There he comes across the line now. And behind him, the baby blue car of Herman Lazarus.
And I think he might just be the last man on the lead lap in 12th position. Here he comes, cheapercars.co.za. Mr. Herman Lazarus finishing his race in P12. And if my facts are right, he is the last man on the lead lap.
Yeah, brilliant drive there from all the guys. And what a race this has been.
Brilliant.
For round number 6 of Sports and GT Master Series, as all of the guys are finished out here. Man, oh man, Suzuka. What a circuit. What an event. Delara F3 is a handful. A lot of big names that had big troubles out there. A lot of interesting strategies that played into the hands of some. Didn't play out as they wanted for some others. But well done. Francois Hubert winning the race in P1. Graham Stephen, in my mind, driver of the day, Graham Stephen. He did not put a single foot wrong. He didn't have to overwork it to get it into that position. And Peter van der Spey, welcome back to the podium, my man.
Yeah, and the man that launched one humongous comeback and was unlucky not to get that podium in 4th position, that is Luke Lucchesi. Timothy Stanton and Peter Hubert round off the top half a dozen.
Yeah, Stephen McCarthy brought it home in 7th position with Sandro Bakari in 8th. Ian Riddle brought it home in 9th, followed by Colin Plitt rounding off your top 10.
Yeah, then just out the top 10 is Renier Hubert and Herman Lazarus. And everybody from Swayze Hubert down was 1 lap or more adrift. That would then be Swayze Hubert, Andre Steenkamp, Johan Fourie 1 lap down, Willem Botha 2 laps down, Engelbrecht 5 laps down, and Eugene Manouk 6 laps down.
Well, folks, what a race it's been. Lovely to have been behind the microphone again, and I look forward to the next one.
Your bad luck?
Bad luck of the day, I would have to say...
Johan.
Yeah, Johan Engelbrecht. Johan Engelbrecht.
Why?
So much damage that he got stuck in the pits for laps on laps on laps.
Yeah.
Right?
And he still came out and tried.
And he's 5 laps down behind.
Yeah, most other drivers would have completely given up. He did not. He actually came back out and kept on pushing. He wanted to finish the race.
Well, either way, it's just us that has a bit of fun when we decide driver and rider. It doesn't mean anything. There's no trophies or points for that. It's all good fun. But yeah, looking forward to next week. There's a lot on the go next week, and Gary can tell us all about it next week, Monday, and next week, Wednesday.
Yep, Monday's going to be touring cars. Tuesday is going to be Secure Talk Show at 8. Wednesday will be the MSA Porsche and a GTE series, and then Saturday a racetrack somewhere in South Africa. All of us will be moving around different spots in the country to bring you the latest on motorsport. From myself, Gary Fleming, Secure Production Studio, thanks very much for joining us, and goodbye to you one and all.